And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Up first here on the public segment, we've got Hazardous weather graphic. Nothing too serious. Winter weather advisory here for the coastal areas of the Yukon Delta, Nunivak Island, also for St. Lawrence Island, and the coastal areas of the western Seward Peninsula, especially along the south coast there. Winter weather advisories for snow, blowing snow, changing to mixed precipitation, mixed rain and snow, and freezing rain. Actually, that working from south to north here. That's for tonight and through tomorrow, tonight and tomorrow for these areas here, with winds gusting anywhere from 40 to 50 miles per hour. And satellite imagery showing several bands of moisture, a lot of clouds here coming northward with low pressure out over the western Bering Sea there, and kind of a weak band of cirrus here sliding eastward. Actually, a little more than cirrus. Kodiak Island picked about 3/100 of an inch of precipitation today, and it was raining at Kaleganek this afternoon, light rain there, and then kind of a hit and miss. Anvik had snow, and not too bad up to the north with mostly variable clouds up there. A lot of clearing here down to the south, and some clouds sliding southeastward along the coast of the Panhandle and resulting in some light rain down over areas of Prince of Wales Island, particularly down around Heidelberg. And rolling this through again, you can see the southeastward drift to the clouds there, the lower clouds, down along the southeast coast and the Queen Charlotte Islands. And moving on to the surface map, strong high pressure here over the eastern interior into the Northwest Territories of Canada, keeping it dry and variably cloudy here over the interior. There's a fair amount of clearing in many areas, extending all the way down into Cook Inlet, the North Gulf Coast areas, Copper River Basin, northern Panhandle off to the east, clouds and some showers sliding down into Prince of Wales Island. Out here to the west, we've got actually a front with the gusty winds up to 45 or 50 miles an hour at the most there for the Alaska Peninsula, to a lesser extent here on the southwest coast, but kind of broken areas of precipitation drifting northward and sort of dissipating, and then mostly sliding off to the northwest there with rain. About 1/3 of an inch today, and that's the heaviest precipitation amount I could find out here, and that was at Dutch Harbor during the last 12 hours. And then the main low center way out there to the west. And for tonight, that low pulls back to the west. This kind of hangs the front up here. A new low develops here and pushes eastward, and that'll keep it wet and windy. Kodiak Island back to the Alaska Peninsula, drying out with a lot less wind for the eastern Aleutians. Not that you had that much today. And some rain for the Pribilofs, mixed precipitation, again, snow and blowing snow here for the Yukon Delta coast, changing over to possible freezing rain in areas. Next, extending up to St. Lawrence Island, not quite reaching the Seward Peninsula yet. Showers behind the front, and down to the southeast, a new storm. But first, we'll take a look at the interior. Very quiet conditions continue tonight here for all of interior Alaska. Maybe a pickup in the winds here out to the west and southwest, or there will be a pickup in the winds in that area. Otherwise, dry conditions. Those showers end along the southeast coast. At least any significant precipitation will end there. And then for tomorrow, this system kind of actually pulls back to the northwest and dissipates as this portion of the front slides eastward. That's going to keep it wet and breezy over Kodiak Island into Bristol Bay, and some light rain now along the southwest coast. Not really getting too far inland here as strong high pressure keeps this back to the west there, sliding northward. A lot of warm air coming up on those south-southeasterly winds, with some rain and snow now into the western Seward Peninsula all the way up toward Kivalina. And then a bigger, more stronger storm here pulling in just south there of Amchitka Island. Storm and gale force winds associated with that, with gusts 65, possibly 70 miles an hour there in advance of the front, and more of a rain snow condition back toward the western Aleutians. And another very nice day here over the interior, central eastern interior, becoming mostly cloudy out here toward the west, and mostly clear, hopefully, for the southeast coast. A narrow band of light showers mostly off the North Gulf Coast. Some of that could slip on in southern Resurrection Bay down into southern Cook Inlet there. And then for the day on Monday, another system develops here and pulls up to the northeast. And this front, we're still looking at a front out here staying off the coast, though off the west coast, but close enough to keep it windy and occasionally wet there right along the coastline. A lot less moisture, some breaks here as you head east to mostly clear again over the eastern interior. Strong high pressure holding over northwest Canada, keeping its domain of influence in over much of interior Alaska, so pretty good conditions. Another quiet and fair amount of sunshine there from the Arctic coast down to the north, or down to the North Gulf Coast. Panhandle looking good, and that strong low pulls back to the west there, comes northward, and then starts tracking off to the northwest or west-northwest. So a lot of wind and precipitation out there over the western Aleutians. A lot quieter here and toward the eastern Aleutians, central Bering Sea areas. Moving on to the lows tonight, below zero in the Copper River Basin, the Kuskokwim Valley, but by contrast, 30 to 35 for Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island, and anywhere from, again, 5 below to 10 above there for south central Alaska, and 12 for Valdez. Teens, northern panhandle, 20s to the south. Highs for tomorrow, mid-30s here, mid to upper 30s for Sitka, Port Alexander, down to Prince of Wales Island, otherwise in the 20s. And pushing up above zero to about 4 tomorrow for Gulkana, in the 20s south central Alaska, upper 30s Homer, lower 40s Kodiak Island, in the 30s for Bristol Bay. And then the lows the following morning, single numbers there in the eastern Kuskokwim Valley, and upper 30s staying well above freezing there in Bristol Bay around King Salmon, low 37, same thing for Kodiak, low 30 for Homer, otherwise 5 to 15 south central Alaska, back to 15 below there for the Copper River Basin, and in the teens and 20s for the southeast coast, followed by highs there, upper 20s to mid 30s, all the way to Yakutat, and 5 to 10 in the Copper River Basin. A little milder here, kind of upper 20s to lower 30s for the Susitna Valley down across the Kenai Peninsula, lower 40s there for Homer, Kodiak, lower to mid 40s for Bristol Bay. Up to the north, lows tonight here below zero, 15 to 25 below for the North Slope Arctic coast, and 25 to 35 below in those colder areas, especially over the Yukon Flats, Arctic Village area. And warming up as you head west, lower 20s there for Nome and Savunga Gamble area. Followed by highs tomorrow, still low below zero here over the east side, northeast interior, coming up into the teens, 5 to 15 there in the Tanana Valley, and upper 30s there for the Seward Peninsula into the Yukon Delta. Tin City rising above freezing, and then staying in the 20s here along the northwest coast, or I should say rising into the 20s there. And now the North Slope, much of the Arctic coast, rising above zero. Followed by lows a little below zero here for the Arctic coast, but pretty mild there with warmer air aloft moving into the Brooks Range here, but still well below freezing. And then back to 5 below to 28 below, coldest over the Yukon Flats. And a little below zero in the Tanana Valley, 5 below to 10 above. And staying above freezing for the southern Seward Peninsula, followed by highs Monday, still below zero, Yukon Flats, but into the teens around Fairbanks. And still temperatures contrasted pretty good from east to west there, 35 to 40 for areas of the Seward Peninsula and Yukon Delta, as well as St. Lawrence Island, and teens and to mid 20s up there for the Arctic coast. And out to the west, lows tonight, mid to upper 30s to lower 40s around Unalaska and the Alaska Peninsula area, lower 30s for the southwest coast. Highs tomorrow, mid 30s here for the southwest coast, in the 40s for the Aleutians, followed by lows in the 30s, and highs near 40 for the Aleutians, lower 40s from Unalaska into the Alaska Peninsula, upper 30s for the southwest coast.